Okay, I think if one of them are ready, I think we can start. Thank you very much for joining us today in our Thursday discussion, our Q&A. Today we'll be discussing Shoprite. Looking forward to it. Thanks, Vaughan.
Thanks, Sarel, and welcome to Ross Coller, who's our analyst on Shoprite. He'll be the one who's doing the actual talking. I'll just do the driving of the slides. So over to you, Ross.
Morning, guys. Thanks for joining us. So to get started on Shoprite, we're releasing a report soon, but the main talking points are just the inflation, the food inflation numbers that are weighing on their margins. That, as we've all experienced, the high impact of load shedding and a strained consumer with less disposable income. The shares run quite a bit up until the end of last year, which put the valuation at a premium to its peers. And then in the beginning of the year, in January, they released their half-year results, with the main talking points being the impact of their diesel costs. Depending on which stage of load shedding we have experienced, running up to 150 million rand a month at stage 6. So we do have a whole recommendation on it, and we would like to see the lower inflation coming down and the share price re-rating to more affordable and attractive levels. Can you go on to the next slide there, Vaughan? This is just a comparison of where they sit amongst their peers. If you look all the way in the far right there, you can see the multiple of 17.5 times earnings compared to the much lower ones of Spar and Pick n Pay. The share price has gone pretty sideways this year. We have seen Pick n Pay take a bit of a hit, but Shoprite still at the higher levels than what we would like. Just go on to the next one. So management just highlighted basically how, for the first time in a very long time, they haven't been able to increase their prices to keep up with their food inflation. If you look over on the right-hand side of the graph there, it's a chart from JP Morgan. You can see the PPI of the agricultural industry sort of leads the food inflation. So at the moment, we're sitting at a food inflation of about 13%. But the PPI numbers are coming down, so we expect to see that normalize. But for the time being, they have noted that this and along with the load shedding costs is putting pressure on their margins, which obviously affects the bottom line and their earnings. Go on down, Vaughan. So we have an intrinsic value of about 202 Rand, which is still 10% below its share price. You can see in line with its 5-year historical price to earnings, it's sitting at just over 17 times. It is slightly inflated from its high run in 2021, where the share price ran hard up until the end of November, where it peaked at about 255 Rand. It's now sitting at about 222 Rand, which is closer to our intrinsic value, but still a little bit expensive. One more there. And here's just a comparison of how it has outrun the JSE Cap Swix. You can see on a 3-year basis there, it's up about 79%. And then year to date, we're just under -2%. So compared to its peers, still expensive, but slightly off its 52-week highs there. And then that's it, Vaughan. If you want to go down to about slide 11. One more. And I'm going to hand this over to Sarel just to talk to you about the technical side of Shoprite, Pick n Pay, and Spar.
Just before we go on, Shaun, is there any questions for Ross? We'll just throw open a couple of questions before we go to the technicals from Shaun and Sarel.
Yeah.
No, sound like no questions. Sorry,
Is
Clive, we can't
somebody-
hear you. You want to try again?
Clive?
No.
Oh, that's a pity. Clive, will you here? I couldn't hear Clive. Clive, do you mind typing it in the chat for us?
Yes, I can hear. It's not very clear.
Okay, I think Clive's going to type his question in the chat. If there are any other questions, please type it in the chat. Or
No, I think let's go to the technicals and type it in the chat, and we'll move on to Shaun or Sarel.
okay, Shaun, go.
Question there from Victor.
Go ahead, Victor.
I just hi. I want to find out with regards to the pricing and the social grants, and the effect it has on the Shoprite. Whether it will have, whether when they stop the social grants, will that for the youth, the 350 rand that they're getting at the moment, how much of that does it drive the value, or is that already priced in, or how is that looking at that?
Victor, if I can jump in and Ross can add to it. So if you look at the 350 rand, it's clearly quite material, because it works out to, I think off the top of my head, about 18 billion rand a year. But this company, the turnover is significantly above it. So there will be an impact, but not, radically that we can see. Clearly it's an impact. Clearly it's going to impact across, most sectors, apparel, food. But what you typically find is that, food is a non-discretionary expense. So if you get the social grant, you could argue people are rather spending that probably on clothing. So you would have a bigger impact on the clothing. But I would throw it back at you and say, what do you think the probability is of that 350 rand, grant being removed? In the next 12 months, when we've got an election coming, and beyond then, it's highly unlikely. So it will have an impact. We would expect it to be on the discretionary retailers. It will have an impact, but I would be very, very surprised if that gets removed within the next 24 months.
Happy with that answer, Victor?
Thank you. That covers that.
Thank you. I see Willem says, my perception is that Shoprite seems to be more successful than the others with their 60/60 delivery. Is this so? And did it have
an impact on the share price? Ross, would you like to sort of comment a little bit on that?
Yeah. So
line?
for the last 6 months, the Checkers 60/60 delivery was up about 90%. And on a year-on-year basis, it was coming even off a strong base. It was up about 300%. But they also noted that the in-store visits were up 12%. So they're still seeing material number of people visiting stores and doing actual shopping in the stores. Now, Checkers 60/60, it does add a lot of value, and it's obviously all of us saw during COVID and staying from home that we all use the service. It's definitely the premium home delivery service, but there's still a large percentage of people visiting the stores from lower income areas. So it's definitely a nice tailwind, but it's not something that drives home the thesis.
Also, just to put it in context, I mean, the size of Shoprite is that 60/60 is impressive, but it just drives the sales. But at the margin, it's still pretty small. These are rather competitive edges and leads to more market share gains from Shoprite, which has been having market share gains for a couple of years already. So it's just further examples of how good this management team is. But is it going to change the world for Shoprite? Almost certainly not yet.
Thank you, Vaughan. I see Swedish says load shedding a major risk to the retailers. Do we know the impact of a full year's load shedding on these retailers? Forward projections for retailers should now include load shedding costs to determine a forward intrinsic value.
Yeah, yeah, do you want to go down there, Vaughan, just to go down to slide a little bit more there, slide 9. So this is also another quite an interesting chart from JP Morgan. You can see the impact and the stages of load shedding that we had towards the end of last year. So diesel costs were up 465 million rand from the previous 6 months, up to about a total of 580 million rand. So basically, management, their base case is stage 2, at which their diesel costs will be 50 million rand a month. But as you can see in December, there was a lot of stage 6, and that took it up to 150 million rand a month. So we probably won't see stage 6 throughout the entire year. But the consensus estimate is about that Shoprite's going to come under about 1.2 billion rands worth of diesel and transport costs and maintenance of their generators, which are not designed to run 24/7 or even at these peak levels. So that is the main talking point with regards to their margins. Their margins are very, very stable, but when you have a 1.2 billion rand hit, it does drop it, even if it's only by 50, 60, 70 basis points on these businesses that run at very, very low net margins. It will have an impact, and it's definitely factors into our sort of bearish case on Shoprite, who are the most affected by load shedding, by the way.
I mean, you can see that in the numbers highlighted here by Ross in terms of the net profit and the margin. As he says, thin margin businesses will have an impact, but it's clearly put into the base case. So it's essentially semi to well understood by the market.
Thanks, Vaughan. I don't see any further questions. Shall we hop on to Shaun's take on the technical stuff?
Yep. There we go.
Yeah, Shaun, you want to take it away?
Cool. So before we get going, I just want to ask a question on my side. I saw an article in Business Day that they've diversified into clothing. They've launched a clothing store in Canal Walk. And obviously, the main reason there was for them to diversify or improve their margins. Any comment on that?
Yes, so the clothing business is called Unique, UNIQ. It's going to, obviously, they said it's going to take a while to, they've got a few trial stores, as you say, in Canal Walk. They do come at a premium to Pick and Pay Clothing and Mr. Price, so we'll have to see how that pans out. But they're also diversifying into pet stores, baby care, or baby clothing, and also outdoor apparel. Checkers Outdoor is another one of their trial stores that they're going. So they're definitely diversifying out, and I think that plays into the growth story. But for the time being, it'll be quite a small percentage of their business.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay, well, looking at the technicals, Shoprite here, as Ross mentioned, the share's been moving sideways for a while. It's trading below its, call it 200-day moving average, is that purple line there. So that's what we call bearish. Anything below that 200-day moving average will be bearish. It's trading just below its 21 and 40-day moving averages. I would call that neutral. So again, falls into what we're saying, it's sideways market. You can see it's moving sideways between a resistance level there, around about 227, and that lower support trend line, around about 212. So it gives you about a 15 Rand trading range. You can see at the lower part of the graph is an MACD, it's an oscillator. It is trading in oversold territory. It's not giving any clear sell signals yet, but you can see it's losing some momentum. I would expect, if you look at the other short-term indicators, like the RSI and stochastic, they're already overbought, so we can expect some pullback, some profit taking. Anticipate, or rather, to get into this price when it comes near that support trend line, that one is ascending up, and that's around about what's that? 200, yeah, about 212. That'll be a good entry level to get in again. But you can see if it does break out above all those moving averages, it breaks above that resistance trend line, that next green line, which is what 224, 234 would be a take profit area, and way right up top there, the second green line, that's a 250. So those are the potentials you have going forward. But as you say, the intrinsic value is around about 202. Anticipate maybe you get in about 212. So that's Shoprite. At this point in time, as I say, no clear buy signals, or clear sell signals, so it'll be still a hold. Let's move to the next one. So Pick n Pay, you can see obviously we've had this big sell-off. It's trading far below its 200-day moving average. This is definitely a bearish trend. We've had this recent little rally from those lows. That low was, at support lows about 30 Rand. So it's trading below its 40-day moving average, and it's just trading above its 21-day. That's the red line. And it's trading above that descending support trend line. So the trend at this point in time will still be bullish. You can see, and that's also confirmed by the MACD, which is still oversold and still pointing up with no clear sell signals. And as I mentioned last week about what we call bullish divergence, you can see that the indicator made a new high compared to the previous high, the previous low, when the indicator failed to confirm it. That was an early warning signal. That was ideal time to have got into Pick n Pay. At this point in time, I'll wait for that crossover of the 21-day above the 40-day to confirm a definite change in trend from bullish to bearish. You can see it's got a long way to go before it touches any of those, call it the take profit levels. You see that blue line, that horizontal blue line would be a very strong previous resistance level. That'd be at a target price first. And then obviously above that, you see that green line would be another target price. Yeah, that one there. So at this point in time, yeah, it is looking as positive, this little rally. But the short-term indicators like the RSI stochastic, again, also oversold, might be some profit taking at this point in time. So it might be a hold if you're holding the share right now, but it does look positive. Next one. SPAR Group, you can see it's trading just also below its 200-day moving average. It's trading within you can call it a triangle. Usually we call a triangle a continuation pattern. We anticipate this could pull back to those moving average, to those support trend lines, that zone. Yeah, that zone there, that'd be very important critical support levels before rallying up. You can see also the MACD indicator at the bottom. It is slightly oversold. Might be a early warning that is losing momentum. So we might see a bit of a pullback, but it's still very bullish. We anticipate that breakout above that descending resistance trend line to take it above to where it was, way up top there, that support level, a bit higher. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, those are the three.
Shaun, what's this number? This blue at the top here. What is that value? Is it 162 odd?
Let me just get it quickly.
Sorry, I beg your pardon. It's 162. Huh? This blue horizontal.
Yeah, it looks like it. Yeah, 162. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Just wanted to see.
Yeah.
Okay, so that would be the next that would be the major breakout to that point, and then you'd review there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, so out of all the retailers, it looks like all of them have got possible pullbacks coming, except maybe Pick n Pay. That's still very strong in the short term. But certainly going back to Shoprite, we're looking at about 212 Rand for the short-term traders to pick up some. At about 212. Other than that, nothing to be done at the moment. And the possible target there with a breakout above around 230, 234, we'll see the stock get to about 250. Same on SPAR. SPAR needs to pull back a little bit, and then you can buy it hoping that it'll break out of the triangle on the top side and then head to the 160, 162 levels. That as far as the technicals is concerned. Are there any other fundamental questions or any questions around the technicals? Doesn't look like it. I wanted to know, I send out the mails to this meeting every week, and I was wondering whether the audience would be interested in creating a WhatsApp broadcast group so that I can communicate to this audience on a weekly basis, just as a reminder that the meeting is taking place and what the topic will be. And then maybe if we in the short term see a move on one of these stocks or it hits one of these support levels, for us to pop you a message to say, well, the level we were speaking about is now being hit, and you may have a look at it. So if you have any interest in that, I'm going to put up a poll quickly, and then you just tell me whether you would be interested in that. Let's do a little poll quickly, and then what we can do is I would request that you guys mail me your cell phone numbers. Let me just launch this. Mail me your cell phone number and your name, and then I'll add you to the broadcast group, and then we'll take it from there. I think it'll be nice. So if you just do a quick vote for me, then we see how the audience feels. Can everybody see the poll? You can't see the poll.
No, it's up. I can see it. It's definitely up.
Okay. So should we create a broadcast group for invites and information? Yes, no, maybe. We've got 21 responses, 23 responses, overwhelmingly yes. Okay, guys, so what I'm going to do then is I'm quickly going to put my email address in the chat for you to copy to your computer, and then you can pop me an email with your cell phone number and your name, and then I'll add you to a group, and we'll take it from there. We'll see how it develops. We'll gladly share some info with you that way. Other than that, I don't see any further questions. Vaughan, Ross, thank you very much. Very comprehensive answers there. Good chat. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone. Have a great week. Good luck.
Cheers. Have a good week, guys. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.